So we're all going to look at number 1. We're not doing these in order. We're going to skip some of these because we have not gone over inverse functions yet. A tower casts a shadow that is 60 feet long when the angle of elevation of the sun is 65. How tall is the tower? In my experience, most students, when I give you a picture, you feel confident you can come up and you can decide what trig function to use and you can solve it. It's all about reading it and then creating the picture that's most difficult. Let's do this together. Everybody please start by making yourself a little bit of a sun here. And then we're going to have this tower, and I'm going to call this my tower. This is my tower right here, okay? And the sun casts a shadow, and it specifically tells me how long the shadow is. The shadow is on the ground. It's that vertical distance. The shadow is 60 feet long. It tells you the angle of elevation up to the sun. So elevation as we're rising up, the angle of elevation is 65 degrees. And we want to know how tall the tower is. So from this angle, we know that 60 represents adjacent. This is the hypotenuse, and this would be referred to as opposite of 65. We want to know what is this length. I'm going to call that x. It's the unknown. Now, if you're able to do this, you have to decide what trig function, sine, cosine, or tangent. And just because I have a lot of confidence in students in this class, don't say it out loud, but can you raise your hand if you know whether you should use sine, cosine, tangent? I'm not going to call on you, just hands up high if you think you know which one it would be. Okay, 3 people know, 4 people know, all right. So I'm thinking to myself, what trig function uses opposite and adjacent? That would be tangent. So tangent of 65 degrees equals the opposite length, we don't know that, over the adjacent length. Okay, now how do we go about solving this? Well, opposite of dividing by 60 is multiplying by 60. You've got to do this work. You've got to show this work. Now x is isolated. On your calculator, if you could catch up with me, please do me a favor and everybody find the button that says mode. I'm going to show you right here where it is. Find the button that says mode and hit it 1 time. We need degrees to be highlighted. So if you do not have degrees highlighted, please go over the top of the degrees and press enter. When you're done, we can now clear the calculator. We know we're in the right degrees. So how do I actually solve this? I literally am going to plug it in just like I see it. 60 times tangent of 65, enter. And this represents the height of this tower. Now, I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, which means I look at one decimal past, one position past the decimal, and I decide should it stay at 6 or should it bump up. Since the number beyond the 6 is greater than, is 5 or greater, I'm going to bump up. So 128.7 feet. That's how tall the tower is. This problem says Matt is standing at the top of a cliff 305 feet above a lake. The measure of the angle of depression to the boat on the lake is 42 degrees. How far is the boat from the base of the cliff? So we're going to draw this together. Okay, I'm going to make a cliff. I know the height of this cliff, bless you, is 305 feet. Now down below is this water. Down below is this water, and I have a boat inside of the water, right? Not inside, but a boat in the water. And now this is where it gets kind of tricky. It's going to rely on your ability to understand what angle of elevation, in this case angle of depression, means. So a person, in this case Matt, is at the top of this cliff. And when we measure angle of depression, depress means to push down. So we're going to draw a line that is parallel. We normally would say to the ground, but this in case it's this way, it's to the water. And depress means to push. So we're going to drop down from this line that is parallel to the bottom. We're going to drop down exactly 42 feet. So this is 42 degrees. Now draw that triangle. The mistake a lot of students make is they assume that this angle is 42. That's not the case. These two are complementary. They will always add up to 90. So grab your calculator if you can't do the mental math quickly and take 90 and subtract 42. That leaves that top angle at 48 degrees. And I'm going to suggest that we underline, because I looked at my honor students' grades from periods 1 and period 2, and most people got number 2 and number 3 wrong because they weren't reading. They weren't reading it correctly. This says, how far is the boat from the base of the cliff? That's this distance. Please put an X right here. Now, is there more than one way we can do this? Yeah, there is more than one way, but just to simplify things, I'm not going to go through and talk to you about opposite interior angles and what this would be. I'm going to leave it at this. So you could do it a different way, still mathematically show your work and get the right answer. Now, in comparison to 48 degrees, X is opposite, 305 is adjacent. So I'm going to write tangent of 48 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. I would not even look to grade a problem in honors if they did not attempt. Give me 1 second, please. Hello? Did I already give us an answer on a calculator? I did not, did I?
No.
Okay, hold on.
Are you okay?
No, I'm dizzy. Okay. Please take 305. Take it times the tangent of 48. All right, here we go. So 305 times the tangent of 48, and we're going to round to the nearest hundredth, is 338.7. 338.7. We're all going to jump right now to number 3. And number 3, this is where the students made a mistake, as they said to me, Miss Bradley, that's exact same question. So here we know that this is 305. We know that we have a boat in the water way over here. This is somebody, right? This is a boat in the water. And we know that we have Matt at the top. We've already figured out this length, but this says how far is Matt at the top of the cliff from the boat. Everybody put a Y here or an X here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We already know that this angle up here is 48, so this is 48. Now here's where students, when I corrected periods 1 and 2, this is where students did not understand their trig. They didn't know, do I use sine, cosine, or tangent? Thank you for being focused and attentive when I'm not feeling well. Turn to somebody around you. Do you think we should use sine, cosine, or tangent based on this information right now? Go. So if you don't know, here's what you're going to write. Okay, Oscar had a heap of apples. That's what I do, especially when I haven't taught this in a year. So I'm like, okay, I want to figure out this hypotenuse, and then I have to ask myself, what is 305? Is 305 opposite of this angle, or is it adjacent? It's adjacent. So I'm going to write down the cosine of 48 degrees equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky, and we have a couple different things that we can do here. We do not divide by 305. We're going to cross multiply whenever the variable is on the bottom. So we're going to take right now, we're going to take y times the cosine of 48 degrees. Well, I know 1 times 305 is just 305. And we ultimately need to get y by itself. So y is being multiplied by the cosine of 48. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. Divide by the cosine of 48. Divide by the cosine of 48. So on my calculator, I'm going to type in 305 divided by the cosine of 48. And this represents the distance from Matt at the top of the cliff with a direct line down to the boat. So we can say that this distance right here is approximately 455.8. 455.8. And that makes sense because if this distance is 338.7 feet and this is 305, we know the hypotenuse is always the longest side, 455.8 feet. Okay, are you ready? I want you to jump over. Remember, we're not doing all of these. Jump over to number 4. So don't get ahead of yourself. Jump over to number 4. I want you to draw a picture in 20 seconds. Go, draw a picture in 20 seconds.
How did we know cosine?
Okay, so I'm going to look at the given information. I have this side, and I want to know this side. And so once I know what I have and what I try to have, Then I analyze each of the trig functions. I'm like, okay, sine is opposite. I don't care about the opposite in this particular problem. I care about the adjacent. This is the adjacent side. So I want to know which trig function uses adjacent and hypotenuse, and that would be cosine. Does that make sense? A ladder is 20 feet long and is leaning against the side of the building. All right. Sometimes it's more girls than boys, but sometimes I have kids that like spend way too much time on their pictures. Like, you don't have to be too detailed. There's my building. Here's my ladder that says the ladder is 20 feet long. So I put a 20 there. And it says that a ladder that is 20 feet long is leaning against the side of a building. If the angle formed by the ladder and the ground is 75, so this angle right here is 75 degrees. How far is the bottom of the ladder from the base of the building? So turn to somebody next to you, but I'm only going to give you 5 seconds so we can get through stuff today. Is the part that I'm trying to find, please look up here, is the part that I'm trying to find this vertical length or the horizontal length? Turn to your partner. Which one is it? How far is the bottom of the ladder, okay, here's the bottom, to the base? This is what I want to know. So now it comes back to us thinking about it. Okay, from this angle right here that I'm coloring in, would we consider x the opposite or the adjacent? Adjacent. 20 is the diagonal, it's the hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse, we use cosine. So cosine of 75 degrees equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Now what's different about number 4 compared to number 3 is that now the unknown part is in the numerator. So I'm going to multiply by 20 because opposite of dividing is multiplying. I plug this into my calculator and I have the answer. So I'm going to take 20 and I'll move this over so you can see, times the cosine of 75, and I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth. So 5.2. Okay, 5.2 feet. 5.2. That's what my x is. 5.2 feet. That's how far the base of the ladder is approximately from the building. We have not learned about inverse functions yet. Please cross out 5. Please cross out 7. Please cross out 5. Please cross out 7. I'm going to press pause, and you have 45 seconds to read 6 and to draw. Let's take a look right now at number 6. Thank you for your focus. Okay. My weakness is drawing, so there's my hot air balloon. It says you are standing 50 meters from a hot air balloon. So let's go. 50 meters away. There you are. It's getting ready to take off. The angle of elevation to the top of the balloon is 28. Top of the balloon is 28 degrees. We want to know the height of the balloon. I know it sounds simple, but I consistently have students who don't understand, so I'm asking this question. It's rhetorical, so you're just going to raise your hand if you know the answer. Am I trying to find this vertical length for this problem, or am I trying to find this diagonal length? Hands up high if you know. One person knows. 2 people know. Okay, turn to somebody next to you. For this problem, am I trying to find this vertical length or diagonal length? Please turn to somebody next to you and talk about it. The height of the balloon. When I find your height and you stand against the wall, do I measure straight up and down, or do I measure diagonal? Straight down, up and down, so put an X right here. Now, from this angle, this is considered opposite, and this is considered adjacent. Opposite and adjacent are associated with tangent functions. Tangent of 28 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, we're going to multiply both sides by 50. And we're going to grab our calculators and take 50. Here we go. 50 times tangent 28. Ready? 50 times the tangent of 28 degrees. And this represents that height of the balloon. The balloon is approximately 26.6 meters tall. 26.6 meters tall. that are rewatching this video based on your performance on the quiz. So if you're in honors or you missed period 3, I'm going to go over this right now. People in class have done a great job on this. We're going to draw a tree. And again, I know your skill level is better than mine. He walks exactly 100 feet from the base and he looks up at it. So we're looking right here. The angle from the ground up to the top is 33. How tall is the tree? That's what I've got to see. I've got to be able to see this. This is a 1. This is opposite. This is adjacent. So tangent of 33 equals opposite over adjacent. On my calculator, I'm going to take 100 times the tangent of 33. 100, let me move this down so you can see, times the tangent of 33 equals 69.64. So x is approximately 64.9 feet. That's the height. Let's look at number 9. It's the last problem in this video. All right, we got a flagpole, and this flagpole is going to create a shadow. So let's go ahead and let's draw our sun. We have a flagpole, and here's our flagpole, right? And it's going to create this shadow that's 40 feet long. And it says the angle of elevation all the way up to the sun is 31. We want to know how tall is the flagpole. So this is opposite and this is adjacent. Tangent of 31 equals opposite over adjacent. Please don't talk when I'm going over this. I'm grabbing my calculator and making sure you're in degrees, and taking 40 times the tangent of 31. We can round it if it's to the nearest tenth of about approximately 24.0, approximately 24.0 or 0.3, depending on how you want to go ahead. And that's how tall the flagpole is.